Hi folks, thanks for joining. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes, this shouldn't be more than 10-15, just to show you how to, first of all, gain access to BrassRing if you are a hiring manager or a internal employee trying to apply for a job. Those two items seem to be kind of hot button issues currently. Wanted to just give a little bit of a breakdown there, as well as give you a crash course on what hiring managers are going to be expecting as far as their use of BrassRing and how to find certain things. So just wanted to give you guys a short snippet that should hopefully help in your situations that you're coming across. So again, first of all, we're going to go over access, the internal candidate process, hiring manager things to know, the new phone screen process, approving offers, and I'll address any frequently asked questions that I think have come up since doing this call last week. So first, accessing BrassRing. If there's two different levels of access that an individual could be granted. There's HR access, or recruiter access is what it's called, or hiring manager access. If someone is being granted HR access, they will automatically get a login email from Do Not Reply at IBM. The hiring managers will not. They will follow the process that we're going to go over just shortly. If you are someone who should have HR access, so you're an HR manager or maybe a support person in the division that helps with hiring, someone who needs to be able to edit certain things in the candidate flow, and you are not able to access, you've not received that email, please go ahead and send that request to me. My email is there. You would include your name, as it is in ADP, your email, and your ADP employee ID number. Those three things, and I can get that submitted for granting you HR access. If you are a hiring manager and you're thinking that you might be missing access, we're going to go through a couple of steps. This should solve everything. If you've done everything to the T that we're about to go over and you're still struggling, of course, reach out, let me know. We'll try to do it together. If it does, if it's a persistent issue, then we can get you turned into HRIS and we can get that solved. But the first thing that you need to do is go to ADP. And this is also true for anyone that is applying to an internal job. So even if it's a deskless employee, so it's an order selector or someone of that nature, go to ADP first. I'm going to show you a screenshot here in just a second. But you're going to be looking at the work email and not the personal email. There is a spot that has both. So it is based off of the work email. Work is kind of a loose term there because for deskless employees, of course, they have that dummy, Raise Holdings email. They would need to update that to a personal email. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a work email, but the field work email is where BrassRing pulls its data from as far as giving you access. For hiring managers, if you have reports in ADP already and your email is in there, then BrassRing and ADP are going to talk to one another and they're going to recognize you as a hiring manager because you already have reports. So it assumes that at some point you could be hiring for an additional position. And that all happens automatically. We don't have to request that. But if you go through this process and you do make a change and you make an edit, then you would need to wait until 24 hours to follow the next steps of the process because it does take some time for the systems to talk to one another. But again, if you're still having trouble, of course, reach out and we can try to identify the issue. So when you log into ADP, you're going to see a couple of boxes depending on your position and what all you see there on your dashboard. But you're looking for your profile highlighted there. When you click on your profile, you're going to see 3 to 4 boxes. In the middle is going to be work info. So again, you're going to see a personal on the left. We're not looking at that. We're looking at work info. There's a view button. And at the very bottom of that screen, you're going to see an email. You need to make sure that is an email that you do have access to. So again, for your deskless employees, they need to change that to a personal email. For hiring managers, this may or may not have flown over. So just check. If it's there, great. If it's not, of course, add it. But again, if you do make a change, if you have to physically edit it, the next steps of this process will not work until the next day. But But from there, this is going to be the exact same instructions, whether you're a hiring manager or an internal applicant. Again, 24 hours after you make your edit, you're going to click the link here, and your HR managers have this. If they've lost it or it's gotten, shuffled around, I can resend. Then you're going to follow the login instructions, which is another place that has had a few hiccups. If you read it and follow it to a T, you should be good to go. We've seen this be, correct for most folks. So when you click the link, you're going to see a login screen. You're going to click immediately forgot password. You're not even, going to try to log in. You're just going to click forgot password. The next screen asks for a username. This is not your email, and I think that's where a few folks have gotten hung up. This is your employee ID number from ADP, not Vic. So enter your ID number. If you've still got ADP up from checking your email, it is on your dashboard home screen. Just copy and paste that into the username. Click continue, and that will generate the email from do not reply at IBM. You should get it pretty quickly, and it's going to be your password reset instructions. From that point on, you will be able to create a password. Just make sure you save it somewhere because you're probably not going to be logging in very often. So just make sure that you hang on to it so that you don't have issues in the future when you need to get in there. This is the same thing that someone applying for an internal job would do. So maybe it's an order selector applying to be a driver helper. So they're going to go to ADP, delete out that dummy email, put in their, Gmail or Hotmail or, whatever it is, wait 24 hours, follow this link, click forgot password. And when they log in, they're going to go straight to the job portal. That's the only thing that they will have access to. For hiring managers, just kind of things to know, because this is very different than Career Connect. You may have been used to logging in and seeing all of the candidates in a requisition. You could even move things. You could, make changes, and that's a very big difference between Career Connect and BrassRing. So the first place you'll probably notice that's very different is you no longer can see the inbox. So, you'll open up when you sign into BrassRing, you're going to see a list of requisitions that you're on, and you're going to see a total number of candidates. Those candidates that you can see are in the hiring manager review stage or further. So they've been reviewed, they've maybe been phone screened or even interviewed, but you will not see anyone in the applied inbox status. That's for compliance purposes. You want to make sure that the right recruiter or HR manager is the person who's viewing the candidates for the first time and dispositioning accurately before deciding who to move forward with in the interview process. So you may see that there's 6 people. There might really be 10. There might be 4 people that are in the inbox and you cannot see. So you'll need to lean on your HR manager or your recruiter, depending on the position, to know who else might be in the requisition. For speaking for our high volume team, if this is, drivers, warehouse sort of positions, if we schedule a phone screen, we're going to send you the calendar invite like normal, just like we always have. But instead of attaching phone screen notes or a resume, we're going to be e-linking those documents to you. What that e-link is a BrassRing term. What that means is it's going to come through email. So, we have an ability to, once we finish up our phone screen and our notes, we can kind of click a button and it will send those documents to you very quickly without having to save and attach. So it does save a couple of steps, in the process. And because the system has this capability, we intend to use it and be more efficient with what we're doing. So this is what the e-link email is going to look like. You're going to get this automated email. It'll say from enterprise@trm.brassring. In the subject line, you're going to see that it's called an e-link. You've got a rec ID, and you've got the title and the candidate name. So it's going to say, where it says, please see attached phone screen, those are notes that I put in for this example. So your recruiter will put any kind of manual notes in that box. So it might say, something different there. But all in all, you should still have a link there for Robert Russell. If you click on Robert Russell, you are going to see at the top here the overview screen. You will see his contact information. You'll see forms. There won't be anything on the screen that you can really see or click on yet until you click forms. Once you click forms, you're going to see the 2 things that we attached. You're going to see the phone screen form and you're going to see the Gateway Questionnaire, which is just a fancy way of saying the application and his job history. So those are the two things that you'll click on to be prepared for your interview. If you want to print, whatever you want to do from there, but you've got them very easily in your email. For the phone screens for, this is for drivers or warehouse specifically, I'm going to leave the PowerPoint. Looking for the right folder. I apologize. I should have had these up already. All right. So again, since we are using this new system capability, the phone screen document looks a little bit different. We used to have a Word document that would ask about their recent 3 jobs, and it would ask a couple of questions about their physicality and going over the weight that we're lifting and what kind of equipment they've used. You guys have all seen it at some point. Since we're not using that document anymore, we're using the system capabilities. BrassRing's phone screen form is very generic and vague. It is meant to be used for any kind of job. So you're not going to see those specific questions like, tell me about your MVR, because that's, of course, not generic or vague. So what we've done, this is going to be what you'll see when we e-link it to you. We're not going to answer those first couple of questions because it's talking about work eligibility. Those are things that they answered on their application. For current compensation, so to the left, all of these questions that you're going to see are already preloaded by BrassRing. What we're going to show you is in the boxes to the right, those are where we're going to put our answers to certain questions that you're used to us asking. We're not going to ask current compensation. That's actually illegal in some states. So we're just going to, we never did that before. We're not going to start now, but we will take that opportunity to make sure that they understand the compensation for the role and that that's okay with them. They're not maybe asking for too much, et cetera. So if they happen to tell us what they're currently making, because that does sometimes happen, we can put it in here just for your knowledge, but this is just going to be where we talk about the compensation for the job. We will still ask their availability to start work. We're not going to go in this order, by the way, because it would kind of be weird to start the phone screen with those questions. So the BrassRing, please tell me about your current or most recent position. We're going to take that opportunity to put in details about if their work history is different from what they entered on their resume. So, sometimes they forget that, to put their last job, or maybe they missed one. We're going to just verify that the application is accurate. And we're going to put details in here if they're not. So if, again, if we're missing a job, we're going to put those details in here. It's going to be our first chance to just make sure that are the minimum qualifications met. So we're going to put any kind of notations about that here. We're not going to ask about what they enjoyed or didn't enjoy about their last job. But why did you leave, or why are you looking? We did ask that question before on their previous experience. So we're going to be putting in this box what their reasons for leaving jobs were. And then why are you looking specifically at RFS? Those details will be in this box. BrassRing's question of asking about relevant items is going to be where we talk about, this is the physicality of the job. What is your shift availability? We're going to talk about what safety means to them. Tell me about your MVR, your med card, and also how did you hear about us? So lots of details included in that box. And again, this is the driver phone screen. Tell me about your experience with the following would be a chance for us to ask about their doubles experience. If it's a shuttle position, we're going to be talking about ramps and dollies, lift gates if it's Detroit, reefers if they have an automatic restriction, anything like that's going to be in this box here. And that pretty much sums it up. The only difference between the warehouse phone screen and the driver is instead of asking about the MVR and the med card, we'll take those off, and then instead of these, we're going to ask about pallet jacks and forklifts. So very, very similar phone screen, and I won't bother you with bringing that up. Of course, if you're listening to this and you're a hiring manager for something other than warehouse or drivers, it's maybe sales or marketing or one of the division positions. Of course, you will need to get with your HR and decide what the interview process is going to be. If you want them to do phone screens, if you just want them to do resume reviews and then schedule in-persons, whatever your process is, perfectly fine. HR also has access to the same blank phone screen form. So again, they would just be asking the questions that they normally ask and putting the answers somewhere in those fields and e-linking that document to you. So just take a chance to talk with your HR team about what your interview process is for your positions that you're hiring for. Approving offers is probably one of the biggest things. It's very, very different in PFG than in Reinhardt. I'll take this chance just to explain that PFG is very sensitive to hiring practices. They have found themselves in litigation in the past, and we were conservative as well, but there are certain items that they tend to be a little bit more conservative on. Approving offers is one of them. Their general rule of thumb is that the highest ranking individual in the department would be the one to approve the offer. So if it's like an RSM, yes, they report to a VP of sales, but that's also their direct boss usually. So a division president would need to approve that offer letter. If it's a salesperson, if it's a sales consultant, if they physically report to an RSM, then you could go to a VP of sales. It just needs to be at least 2 levels above what their current direct report is. So order selector, for instance, if you have outbound and inbound managers, then your warehouse manager could approve the rec. But if you don't, then again, it would have to go to like a VPO. For drivers, if you've got a director of trans, that could potentially work. It just couldn't be like the trans supervisor, right? It would either have to be the director of trans or a VPO. So just wanting to give you guys a couple of heads ups on who has to approve the offer in Brass Ring. So HR cannot approve. They're not in that department. So you can't, HR is the one creating the offer. So you can't create the offer and approve it in PFG's world. So that's something that's very different. We actually go through an offer creation step now, and we physically send out an offer letter for all positions, which is also different. So it's just kind of a new process to get used to. We have the high volume team has reached out to HR to help make them aware of the change. And we've even gone through the exercise of putting together a spreadsheet of your current positions, who their direct report is, and then who would have to approve the offer. We did that just to help kind of keep in their minds, okay, if I'm creating this offer, it has to go to, such and such. So approving the offer is very easy. You are going to get an email just like the e-link email that we just showed you. It's going to say in the subject, please approve the following form. Offer form, yard driver. It's going to tell you the name. All you have to do at that point is click on Michael Bryant. It's going to bring up a pop-up screen for you to see the offer details that were entered by HR. So just take a second, make sure it looks accurate. You'll scroll to the bottom and click approve. It's very, very simple. But again, it's just a very different process. So, division presidents and VPOs have not been used to approving offers, in that sort of way before. So just kind of a heads up, you'll need to make those team members aware of that email coming to their box just because it looks a little different than what they're used to. We don't want them to skip over or maybe accidentally delete that. So just wanted to remind everyone of the structure and which high volume recruiters or which talent acquisition professionals report to which divisions. As of February 1st, everyone should be supporting their correct divisions. We did have a few last little transitional items and a last new hire that was getting fully trained. So with those pieces in place, February 1st, everyone should be supporting their divisions that you see here. Some of the biggest questions have really just been around the access and how to get in. When you go to open your e-link forms or approving an offer, if you've never signed in before, it will make you sign in at that point. So you just need to make sure that you do have the appropriate access and that you've successfully signed in before. That's honestly been the biggest question for any HR that might be listening. If you need to make an offer just right now in this interim term, when you go to create your offer and there's a drop down of who's going to be the approver, if you type in the person's name that should be the appropriate person to approve and their name is not in there, go ahead and send that to me for now, but also tell me so that we can get that person added. So if you've got a division president or a VPO that needs to approve an offer and their name is not in the drop down, number one, put me on the approval so that we can at least move forward. I'll approve the offer for you. But send me the name, the email address, and the employee ID number for that person so that we can get them in the system correctly. To be honest, we're at a point that we're not missing many people. It's just a matter of following the correct instructions on how to sign in. So if you do think of any other questions, absolutely just shoot them over, emails, my cell phone, text, whatever. I'm very quick to respond. In most cases, we've gotten to a place, like I said, now that emails are kind of calming down and not much of a turnaround time on sending me stuff over. So with that, I'll go ahead and end the recording. Hopefully it was short enough to get what you needed, and just kind of keep an eye out for additional videos that we're going to be adding.